Okay, so the class is being recorded, and this is our third master class. We've been together for the past perhaps 4 weeks. We have done only two classes, and this is our third. So, what is it that we're talking about this afternoon? It's the second work, which is the tail of Peter Rabbit. And I assume that you're perhaps halfway through, right? Those who belong to other classes. How far did you go with the tale of Peter Rabbit? Those who are with Dr. Arwa, raise your hands. Nobody is from Dr. Arwa's class. Those who are from Dr. Mohsen's class, raise your hand. Mm, okay, okay, fine. So it's Tom's Midnight God. By now, yeah, Bidur, I don't know whether Bidur is answering us or telling us that she's here. So it's Tom's, no, not Tom's Midnight Garden, of course. It's the tale of Peter Rabbit. The tale of Peter Rabbit, it's a tale, right? Which means that it invokes a number of ideas. One thing would be the fact that it's a story where you're expecting characters to be behaving in a certain way. You expect complications, and then you expect resolutions because it's a typical tale. Typical in the sense that it is traditional, where you expect a closure at the end, a happy ending of a sort. But perhaps this is not happening, as we're going to see, because the ending is open. So it's the tale of Peter Rabbit. Again, it's a tale, and a tale of whom? It's a tale of Peter Rabbit. Who is Peter Rabbit? Peter Rabbit is the name of a human being, but, and it's a proper noun, but actually it's given to a bunny, to a rabbit. Is that common? Yes, it is common, and we have seen it happening so many times, and we're going to see it happening in Voices in the Park, where you have what we call anthropomorphism, where animals are given human qualities, are given human characteristics and features. They speak, they go, or they embark on adventure, they hate and love, they take revenge perhaps, they think like us, they obey and also disobey. So these are all qualities that we normally associate with human beings. So to have them associated with animals, to have animals using or embodying these things, obviously, this is what we call anthropomorphism, and anthropomorphism is not the invention of the modern times. It goes back in time to Aesop. Aesop, this Greek storyteller, this Greek fabulist. Fabulist means that he used to write fables where you have animals behaving like human beings, and at the end you have a moral lesson. So the tale of Peter Rabbit is an anthropomorphic piece of work where obviously Peter is behaving like human beings, and his sisters, because he has three sisters, also behave like human beings, and his mom, of course. Um, So before I start, I would like to ask you about the tale itself. Who can come and give us the plot? What happened, when, by whom, and let's leave the why for a while. We'll talk about the why because the why is about the value and significance of actions and movements. So who would like to come and give us the plot, the storyline? No one? انتوا صايمين ولا ايه؟ what's happening? ولا are you here? Hello? Yeah, and I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. At least tell me that you can hear me. Kanzi, can you guys hear me? Kanzi, can you hear
Yeah,
us?
yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you, Doctor.
Okay. Would you like to come and
So,
share the
to
story
answer
with
your
us?
question,
No, it's not a
um,
question. I'm not asking a question. I
no,
want
you
you
asked.
to tell us the story. Can you tell us the story?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Mm.
So, it's about Peter, who is a rabbit. He lives with his mom and his siblings. And one day, he disobeys his mom and he sneaks into the vegetable garden. So he overeats, and the owner of the garden ends up taking his clothes. So he runs to the house without his clothes, really, really full because of everything he had eaten that day. And his mom gives him chamomile tea and he goes to sleep. This is as far as I know.
Yeah, and this is a very nice skeleton that we can always flesh out with details. Thank you so much, Kanzi.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Doctor.
it's basically about that. This is a very nice outline of what exactly happened. The fact that you have Peter, who is a rabbit, he lives with his family, and his family is made up of three other siblings, three sisters, and his mom. Typically, mom gives like commands and orders, do this and don't do that. And one of the commands or orders was not to go to Mr. McGruger's garden um, or farm. I don't know whether it's referred to in the tale as farm or garden. And the reason why, and this is how she put it, that their father had an accident and he was made into a pie. This is, of course, very ironic, but the bottom line here is that this is a dangerous or a danger zone. If you go there, you're not likely to come back alive like your father. Peter obey his mom. Will the girls or his sisters obey his mom? Yes, his sisters actually obey and they stay within the limits that the mom set. But Peter, the boy, decides to go to Mr. McGruger's garden or farm. Obviously, um, this is trespassing. This is crossing the limits. The limits would be that this is private property. This is Mr. Magruger's place, and he is setting limits. And of course, um, Peter does not respect those limits. He goes inside and he eats as much as he could from the things that Mr. Magruger grows in his farm. And he gets very full, and Mr. Magruger sees him and, of course, runs after him. He or Peter escapes very narrowly. He could have been killed, he could have died. And then when he arrives home, his mom Yeah, he looks very tired and sick and everything, and his mom serves chamomile tea to him. Again, people would stop and think of the significance of this act, the fact that a mom is giving him tea when everybody else in the house is having nice dinner, which is made up of a variety of dishes. So would we consider this a punishment, reduced to chamomile tea when everybody else is eating different types of food? Or is it perhaps an act of kindness, the fact that she is curing him using chamomile tea? And she's trying to nurse him back to health using chamomile tea. In this case, that wouldn't be a punishment. So lots of people are polarized over uh, um, uh, this, over whether what happened at the end is a reward or a punishment. So this is the tale in a nutshell. Before we proceed with the different interpretations, I would like to address myself to the idea of picture books and how pictures are very important in a picture book. And this is what I keep saying, that you cannot really appreciate a picture book unless you engage with the pictures. Engaging with the pictures means that you try to look at the different aspects of the picture. You look at the characters and how they are portrayed, whether they are in the center or in the periphery. You look at the characters in relation to each other. Which of them is big? Which of them is small? Which of them is portrayed as gigantic and the other is very small? You also look at the colors, and obviously color symbolism is very important. Different colors mean different things. You look at the seasons and the change of seasons. So it's as if you're cracking the codes of something. So a picture is a code, it's full of codes, and you are asked to crack those codes and uncover the secrets. Um, what is also interesting is that we now have a lexicon and a dictionary of codes, thanks to a scholar by the name of William Mobbus. We have, um, you know, a toolkit of codes and ways as how you can crack those codes. Again, it's because we're talking about pictures and not only text. We're referring to this idea of multimodality. Our approach when it comes to analyzing literature is not text-based anymore. It is what we call multimodal. Multimodal means that you engage with the pictures, you try to crack their codes, you also look at the text and try to see how things are written. So the bottom line is that when you deal with picture books, you don't focus only on the text, because the text can sometimes stay silent on things, and it's only after you go go and look at the pictures that things become clearer. So pictures are very important, and without them in a picture book, you cannot really, capture the significance of things. Lots of things go unnoticed unexplained if you insist on only grappling with the text to the total neglect of the picture. And this is obviously something that we're not likely to do. We're now used to the idea of, putting the picture and the text together and uh, coming up with something decent and perhaps more comprehensible and even comprehensive for a totality of experience, for a totality of vision, for the interpretation to be total and complete. You need to kind of work uh, under this principle, this idea of symmetry and harmony between the picture and the text. Okay, let me ask you, now that you have been doing the Tale of Peter Rabbit for some time now in your classes, how much else do you know about the Tale of Peter Rabbit? How much else do you know about the Tale of Peter Rabbit? Dima.
The fact that it was first written as letters to the author's friend's son, and then she decided to publish it at some point.
Yeah, yeah, this is interesting. The fact that it wasn't originally meant to be published as a picture book. It was a gift, a collection of drawings that she gave to the son of one of her friends. And she decided to make a book out of it. So she claimed it back, and obviously her friend was gracious enough to give them back, right? Obviously, this is very monumental because the Tale of Peter Rabbit is very important in the history and the evolution of the picture book. What is interesting about the Tale of Peter Rabbit is that when you look at the book and you read it, it looks very simple. Again, a number of bunnies who go about their life, and obviously the idea of getting killed in the process is perhaps something that they know how to deal with. It's a matter of fact sometimes, being part of their existence. But on a deeper level, we have, you know, insights. We have, archetypes. We have the picture book triggering and invoking ideas that perhaps the writer never thought of. We spoke about the picture book as being archetypal in nature, where when we read it, lots of archetypal ideas are invoked and come to mind. We spoke about the idea of disobedience, for example, and we spoke about the first examples of disobedience ever. And I remember people saying that it's the perennial disobedience would be the disobedience of Adam and Eve. They also didn't follow the rules. They also didn't obey God. And typically, when you disobey, you have to pay the price. So it happened with Adam, and it also happened with Peter. Peter didn't obey his mom and decided to go to Mr. McGruger's place. And obviously, he has to pay for that. And pay he did. How? By having those close calls. He was almost killed because Mr. McGruger ran after him. And even after that, when he went home, he obviously had a fever and he wasn't in the best of shapes, and his mom had to nurse him back to health. This is punishment, if you can consider punishment. Again, punishment, if you look at him as a transgressor and as a violator and as a challenger of established order. You can also look at him in a different light. You can look at him as um, perhaps a rebel, a revolutionary, somebody whose sense of inquiry is kind of leading him to go and check why, why don't I have to go to Mr. McGruger's place, and why was my father made a pie? Obviously, seeking knowledge is a human quality. I mean, people are after knowledge, knowing. Um, so again, sometimes knowledge is a scourge, is a whip. If you're sometimes not knowing is good enough. Yeah, somebody's raising her hand. Come to the mic.
Yes, doctor. In my opinion, I don't see it as a rebellious behavior, but I think it shows how childhood curiosity clashes with the adult rules. The picture makes the fear and tension much stronger than the word itself.
Yeah, that's an interpretation. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one way of looking at it. The fact that saying that it is rebellious and that this guy is a rebel, and this can be above the head of lots of people. They like to think of it as the main driver of this whole thing is the fact that this boy is curious, like all the boys and all the children um, his age. I mean, very curious. They want to explore the world, and there is nothing big about it. Yeah, this is also another interpretation. Again, we're all entitled to our interpretations as long as we can speak about them, can argue for them. Um, I think in my regular class we did talk about those issues, and did you still remember what we spoke about? People who attended with me in my regular class about the tail of Peter Rabbit. Because I remember asking you to reread the picture book in light of what we have discussed. Okay, so let's. I have a video. Let's watch it and see what will come out. Can you see that?
Yes,
Yes,
doctor.
doctor, we can see.
Okay. Yeah, let's read this. Let's watch this.
You know those picture books from when you were a kid? Yeah, the ones with the really worn out covers, the ones your parents read to you a million times. Well, today we're going to pull them off the shelf again because it turns out there's a secret world hiding in plain sight that most of us completely missed. It's a world told not through words, but through pictures. Let's see what we can find.
And that right there, that's the key. We tend to think of these books as, simple, sweet, maybe a little bit silly, but as we're about to see, they are absolutely packed with complex ideas, with cultural values, and sometimes, yeah, even a little controversy.
Go on. Seriously, picture it in your head right now. Was it about a super hungry caterpillar? Or maybe where the wild things are? Whatever it was, the real story might not have been in the words at all. It might have been hiding in the illustrations. And that's the mystery we're cracking today.
Okay, so first things first. Let's start by challenging a pretty big assumption. The idea that children's literature is, well, just for children. It's so easy to fall into that trap, right? We grow up and we think those books are kind of naive. But literary scholars, they argue that this is a seriously deep genre. These books are tackling huge themes, everything from social rules to cultural anxieties, all disguised as these simple little tales.
And that's really the magic of it, isn't it? When we go back to these books as adults, we're bringing a whole new lifetime of experiences with us. And suddenly, we start to see the hidden messages, the commentary that was just flying right over our little heads when we were kids.
To really see what I'm talking about, we're going to put on our detective hats. We're going to investigate one of the most famous picture books of all time. Now, this is a really important first step. The images in a picture book, they are not just decoration. They tell their own story. So for a minute, I want you to forget everything you think you know about Peter Rabbit, and let's just follow the visual trail. Okay, so just looking at the illustrations, what do we see? Well, we can pretty much piece together the whole narrative. There's a clear main character. He's the one dressed a bit differently. He goes on this journey, he faces some kind of conflict with a human, and then eventually he makes his way back home. It's a classic adventure story, all told without reading a single word.
So, how in the world do illustrators pack so much meaning into what look like simple drawings? Well, it turns out they have a kind of secret language, a set of codes that, believe it or not, we can actually learn to read.
So here's the absolute key. The words and the pictures are equal partners. This idea is sometimes called multimodality. The pictures can fill in gaps that the text leaves out, or, and this is where it gets really fun, they can even contradict the words to create a kind of irony. To get the whole story, you have to read both.
And thankfully, we've got a toolkit for this, thanks to scholars like William Mobius. He identified these recurring patterns, or codes, in picture books. Things like color, where a character is on the page, the choice to use animals, it all carries a specific meaning. Once you know the codes, you can start to unlock them. All right, here are 3 of the biggest keys to get you started. First, look at visual emphasis. Who's in the middle of the page? Who's wearing bright colors? That tells you who matters. Second, look at their posture and action. Who's dynamic and moving? And who's just kind of standing there? And third, always ask, why animals? This technique, it's called anthropomorphism, and it lets authors explore really human ideas without being too preachy about it. Okay, we have our keys. Let's go back to the scene of the crime and see what secrets we can unlock in the tale of Peter Rabbit. So right away, we spot that anthropomorphism, right? These aren't just rabbits, they are stand-ins for a human family. The story is using them to explore these timeless themes, a mother giving rules, some kids obeying, and one kid, well, not so much. And this is where it gets fascinating. When we apply our other keys, a huge contrast just jumps off the page. Look at Peter versus his sisters. The pictures code him as active, adventurous, disobedient. His sisters? They're passive, domestic, obedient. And look, he gets a name and his own special blue coat, which marks him as an individual. His sisters, on the other hand, are dressed exactly the same and pretty much act as one unit. Their identity is all tied to being home. And boom, there's the code at work. This book, written way back in the early 20th century, is visually reinforcing the traditional gender roles of its time. The male character gets the big heroic journey, the adventure out into the dangerous world. The female characters? They're kept in the safe, domestic space, and their whole role is just to be good. Without a single word being written about it, the pictures are quietly building this whole blueprint for how the world is supposed to work. So,
We've cracked the case of Peter Rabbit. But the real takeaway here isn't just about one mischievous little bunny. What you have now is a new lens, a new way of seeing. You can use these same keys, analyzing color, action, anthropomorphism, on literally any picture book. Each one is like a little time capsule, reflecting the values and, yeah, the anxieties of the society that made it. And these visual messages, they're some of the very first ideas we absorb as kids, shaping how we see the world long before we can even read the words. They're not just stories, they're powerful cultural artifacts. So I want you to go back to that favorite book you were thinking of earlier. Pick it up, look at it again, but this time really read the pictures. You might just be amazed by the story they've been waiting to tell you all along.
Yeah. Okay. What more do we know about the tale of Peter Rabbit now that we have seen the video? Hmm. Come to the mic.
The significance of the pictures, like the way at first Peter is so much looking like a human. He's walking on 2 feet and wearing a jacket, but towards the end, he's just running like a rabbit on all fours.
Mhm. Yeah, and the idea of closing him at one point, giving him clothes, which is obviously symbolic of something, and then stripping him of those clothes, right, at another point, right? Okay. Hagar?
Yes, doctor. The video shows how the story has a deeper meaning than just a simple moral about obedience. The rabbits almost repeating the society. The sister follow the rules and stay safe in their comfort zone, while Peter break the law, enter adult space. Uh, that is not meant for him. It also meant to reflect how life it was, where the rules were so strict and stepping outside could be dangerous. Uh, so yeah, these pictures in the books shows and reflect life, more than this story itself.
Yeah, you mean you're trying to say that there are those underlying meanings. It's not just what meets the eye. What meets the eye is, having a curious child who goes out of the bounds set by his mom and does things that his mom wouldn't approve of. This is as a very simple reading of the picture book, but obviously there is more to it than just that. It's very symbolic and it's very nuanced, if you like, where obviously there is this pointing to the fact that we have gender roles, and obviously those gender roles are kept. They are observed. The fact that the girls are obeying their mom, the girls are very non-assertive. You wouldn't even then we didn't catch them speak one single line, and none of them, and they are three. And obviously, we have Peter. We have things that are seen through the perspective of Peter himself. So this is a typical patriarchal attitude where obviously men and boys are given privilege. They are the ones who uh, kind of regulate the whole thing. They moderate the whole thing. So things are seen from the perspective of Peter and not from the perspective of his mom or his sisters. So it's always, people always ask this question whether the picture book is upholding traditional gender roles or flouting and challenging them. And the answer, as we have seen, is that it is observing and is following those gender rules where the boy embarks on adventure, the boy is the one who disobeys, showing his masculinity, his independent decision making processes, while the girls are non-assertive and they just obey. They don't say no. Somebody was raising her hand. Hagar, are you raising your hand?
Yes, doctor. I have something to add.
Mm,
I also found pictures are really important because it illustrates and it shows Peter's fear and
mm,
danger. The picture shows how Peter running and hiding and also
mm,
panicking.
yeah.
And it also adds realism to the story, how the garden feels like, and it tells extra part of the story. And it also, I think it teaches the moral lessons visually.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this idea, this reference that you made to the feelings that Peter has, and the fact that he is it's very genuine human feelings. In in the event of a crisis or danger, you cannot hide your true feelings, whether you're very scared, panicked. So we have seen that, and this is perhaps what endears Peter to us. We feel sympathetic towards him because of the fact that we too can kind of fall trap or prey to those fall victim to those circumstances. Um, yeah, that's interesting. What else about the tale of Peter Rabbit that we have left um, unsaid because it's full of ideas. We spoke about, archetypal um, framing, the fact that Peter can be seen as a rebel, can be seen as a freedom fighter, even. So, if he is a freedom fighter, who is he fighting against? And what kind of freedom is he after? Because this is one of the interpretations that he is a freedom fighter. He's symbolic of all the freedom fighters, always and everywhere. When animals are, what's the default for animals to be uh, wild and free or to be caged and bound,
To be wild, of course.
right? So obviously, if you are in the wild, so this is freedom, and then um, comes somebody and says, yeah, this is where you're confined to. Everywhere else is ours. Everywhere else is our private property. So um, if you're an animal, obviously those things do not exist for you. The idea that there is or there are private property, this does not exist for animals. So obviously, when animals trespass on and encroach on other people's property, they don't do that because they are intentional about bothering you or stealing your property or your food. They are doing it instinctively because in their lore and in their mindset, there is no such thing as private property. Nature, where they were born, is obviously up for grabs. So people can go wherever, and people and animals and creatures can go wherever they want. There is no, and there shouldn't be any restrictions, right? So what Peter was doing actually was natural. He was not, he was exercising his natural right to go about in nature and eat from wherever he wants, because this is nature, this is open nature, and it's open to and for everyone. So when somebody like Mr. McGruger, when this guy comes over and says, no, there are limits and I'm setting those limits, you shouldn't be trespassing those limits, and if you're doing that, you're going to be killed. So obviously, people like Mr. McGruger are restricting animals like Peter, and they are taking away from his freedoms. And in this sense, if Peter claims his freedom back, he is a freedom fighter. He is fighting a new system which believes in boundaries, which believes in borders, and which believes in setting limits. So, in this sense, like any freedom fighter, Peter is trying to restore his rights. He is trying to decolonize nature. So what Mr. Magruger did was colonization, settling and settlements, establishing a settlement, colonizing the land, ignoring the fact that the land has creatures living on it. Looking the other day, pretending that nobody is there and it's up for grabs. So this is land grab that we're seeing, and obviously Peter here is trying to reclaim what is his. So he is decolonizing the land. He is um, um, trying to fight back, to push back against colonizers like um, Mr. McGregor. What is interesting is that it doesn't start with decolonizing the land. You also have colonized minds. If you look at the mom and if you look at the sisters, obviously they came to terms with the fact that the trunk of the tree or the place where they are living under a tree is their only abode and their only place. Other places are not are out of bounds, are not theirs. So obviously the start here would be to decolonize the minds of the sisters and the mom, and then go and physically decolonize the land that Mr. Magruger is laying claim to. Let's see another video, and this one is going to be more in. Perhaps somebody wanted to say something. Come to the mic.
I wanted to say it
Yeah,
was a failed attempt too.
it was a failed attempt. You mean it didn't work?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if we look at
perhaps.
it in that
Yeah,
light, it's gonna get so dark because it didn't even work. Like it
yeah.
didn't even come and nothing came out of it anyways.
At least he made a statement, right?
Oh yeah.
He was making a statement. Let's listen and watch something else. Wait. No, this is not what I want.
All right, let's dive into a story you think you know, I'm talking about a true classic, one most of us grew up with, Beatrix Potter's The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Now, on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward, right? But trust me, there is a lot more going on underneath that famous little blue jacket than you might think. So let's just jump right in with a wild idea. What if this sweet little story about a naughty bunny isn't really about listening to your mom? What if it's actually a story about rebellion? Or maybe it's a retelling of an ancient myth? Or, and this is the big one, what if it's actually a sharp critique of colonialism? Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. Okay, so first things first. Before we get into all the deep stuff, let's just do a quick refresher on the story we all remember. You know, the tale of that very famous, very mischievous bunny. You know the drill, right? Mama Rabbit gives a very clear warning. Whatever you do, do not go into Mr. McGregor's garden. So, of course, while his good little siblings, Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, all obey, Peter, well, Peter just can't help himself. He goes for it. And what follows is this absolutely terrifying chase. He barely escapes with his life, and he finally drags himself home, minus his new jacket and shoes, feeling totally sick and miserable. So, at first glance, this seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? It feels like a classic cautionary tale, a story with a really simple message for kids about why they should listen to their parents. And let's be real, the warning is pretty intense for a kid's book. I mean, this isn't just, hey, stay out of the street. The stakes are literally life and death, or, life and getting baked into a pie. That line just sets up the danger so clearly, right from the get-go. No messing around. And the story really follows through on that threat, doesn't it? His good little siblings, they're having this delicious supper of bread and milk and blackberries. And poor Peter, he gets a spoonful of chamomile tea because he's sick from the whole ordeal. So the consequence perfectly fits the crime. The moral seems totally locked in. But is that really all there is to it? All right, this is where things start to get really interesting. Because once you start looking a little bit closer at why Peter does what he does, the whole story, it just completely changes. So ask yourself this. What if his disobedience isn't just, a kid being naughty? What if there's something more behind it? What if Peter isn't just a simple rule breaker? What if he's actually a revolutionary? I mean, think about it. This changes everything about his character. All of a sudden, he's not just a naughty bunny. He's a brave little explorer. He's not just disobedient. He's actually questioning why the rules are there in the first place. You could even argue he's an investigator, trying to figure out what really happened to his dad. From this angle, Peter becomes this amazing symbol of nonconformity, of someone who just refuses to follow orders without asking why. And this rabbit hole, no pun intended, it goes even deeper. Because this whole theme of breaking the rules in a garden, well, it's not a new idea. Not at all. In fact, Peter's little adventure is like a perfect echo of one of the oldest stories we have. When you see it side by side, the parallels are just, wow, they're kind of undeniable, right? You've got the forbidden garden, you've got the super specific warning, you've got the one a big transgression, and then you have the consequence, a loss of innocence. For Peter, this is symbolized so perfectly by him losing his clothes. He's left vulnerable and exposed, a lot like Adam and Eve were after being kicked out of Eden. It's this massive archetypal story just played out with a bunny and a vegetable patch. Okay, but hold on, because there is one final layer to peel back here. And this one might be the most radical of them all. This interpretation completely reframes the whole conflict. It's not about obedience anymore. It's about a fight for the land itself. Now, to really wrap our heads around this, let's just quickly define a key term here: colonialism, right? At its core, it's when one group comes in, takes over a territory, makes their own rules, and then uses the resources for their own benefit. Just keep that definition in your back pocket for a second. Okay, so with that definition in mind, let's look at our characters again. What if Mr. McGregor isn't just some harmless old gardener? What if he represents the colonialist, the one who came in and put up fences and said, this part of nature is mine now? And if that's true, then Peter is no longer a trespasser. He becomes the native inhabitant, just trying to get to the food that grows on the land he sees as belonging to everyone. This completely flips that moment where Mr. McGregor yelled, "Stop, thief!" Doesn't it? I mean, from his perspective, yeah, Peter's a thief taking his radishes. But if you look at it from Peter's perspective, who's the one that built a wall around the natural world? Who's the one who decided the earth and everything that grows from it was private property? Suddenly you have to ask yourself, who's the real thief in this story? So in this reading, the whole idea of private property is just a human invention, something we forced onto the natural world. To a rabbit like Peter, a fence is just a bizarre, unfair obstacle. He's not breaking some deep moral code. He's just doing what animals do, following the laws of nature, where food and land are all part of one big ecosystem that everyone shares. So, where does all this leave us? It's pretty amazing, right? We started with what seems like a simple little bedtime story, and now we're looking at this incredibly complex allegory. What's so incredible is that the tale of Peter Rabbit isn't just one of these things, it's all of them, all at the same time. Yeah, it's a cautionary tale, for sure. But it's also the journey of a rebel, it's a modern retelling of an ancient myth, and it's a really sharp allegory about colonialism and who owns the land. It contains all of these layers. And that really is the secret sauce of a truly great story, isn't it? It's not that there's one right answer or one single meaning. It's that the story is so rich, so deep, that it can hold all of these different meanings at once. It lets the story speak to new generations, to different people with different perspectives, in totally new and powerful ways. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Think about your favorite story from when you were a kid. The next time you think about it, maybe dig a little deeper. Ask yourself, what's really going on there? What are the hidden rules? Who really has the power? You might be absolutely amazed by the hidden meanings you find hiding right there in plain sight.
No. Right. Okay. Dima,
Honestly, I hate to sound
you hate what?
superficial, but I think linking colonialism, like no matter how I look at it, I think linking the themes of colonialism to this story is such a stretch, especially that it was intended to a child. Like I really love the like really reading into it. I think with this specific story, we're really reading too much into it. Considering that it was intended to a child, I think there's no way the author actually intended to imply colonialism and things like that. And I think, if anything, from the perspective of a child, this story could be questioning the authority of adults that tries to strip away the normal and natural curiosity of children. But then again,
Isn't that colonialism in and of itself?
but yes,
Pa
but
pa
then again,
pa parental colonialism.
parental colonialism. But then again, when you actually go out, and like me as a child, I used to think my parents were so strict, but now that I'm out into the world, I see just why they were so strict. And it truly is a dangerous world. Like for Peter, the price of being his natural self and his natural wild self was getting killed. Like it is true. So the parents have to make a choice between either locking the kids at home or letting them get killed. And like humans aside, the wilderness is dangerous for rabbits because there are bigger carnivores besides human. So it is a dangerous world. I think, if anything, this story implies is more about like parental adult child themes than colonialism. I think colonialism is a little of a stretch. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. Remember what I said, that it's interpretations that we're having here, and obviously no one
Yes.
single interpretation or meaning is. I mean, you cannot really. I mean, unless you wanted to be very simplistic, and obviously, if it's too simplistic, we wouldn't be doing it. It's a classic in the sense that everyone can come up with a meaning that he feels happy with. This is, by the way, what literature is all about. I mean, you bring your own background, your understanding of something. When it was written early in the early 20th century, obviously it's different. The perspective is different now. And this is the where well into the third decade of the 21st century, and obviously the way we see things is different. Again, reducing it to a mere, you know, child's book meant to appease and please children. Remember what we said at one point that children's literature is not about children anymore because they get consumed by people like me and you, and obviously we're not children. We enjoy it, and obviously where the meaning of obedience and the lack thereof is not missed on us as adults. But obviously, when we read it with different prisms and different lenses. Now, this is simply something that you cannot help because you're an adult and you're bringing your own experiences to the conversation. So I truly appreciate and respect your take on that, yeah, Dima. But again, there is more to children's literature than just um, what meets the eye. Somebody else wanted to say something?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
think the story shows another perspective, which is how power works. Whoever owns the land defines what's right and what's wrong. And I think that's mean Peter's punishment is not about ethics, it's about authority and who has the power.
Yeah, power dynamics. Yeah. There is power involved, and again, whether this power is legitimate or not, this is one of the ideas that we're grappling with. Because obviously, when you talk about Mr. Kruger or you talk to him, he has this colonial settler mindset. He's going to tell you, this is the land that I colonized. It was before I came. It was all wild and unfit for living. I made it what it is now. I grew, plants, and that's why Peter got attracted to it because it's now livable and full of food and stuff. And you would have other people who believe that obviously they are the original inhabitants and it's their land, and they believe in absolute freedom. They don't believe in private property and stuff like that. Yeah, very interesting issues that you guys are bringing to the table.
Can
Yeah, go ahead. Yes,
can
come to
we
the mic.
add that this point is also a conflict between nature and civilization?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, yes.
Okay,
Um,
doctor.
I, yeah, this is a very interesting point. The idea that we have seen Peter moving between those two extremes. At one point, when we first see him, he is dressed, wearing a jacket and shoes, just like any civilized human being. And at one point, he has to get rid of those things in order to escape. Had he not taken off his shoes, actually, he didn't take them off his own accord. They were taken out of him because he was running and stuff. The point here is that when they were taken out of him, it means that he was stripped of those manifestations of civilization. It is as if uh, it is perceived as such. Um, Again, whether we agree that what makes a creature civilized, the clothes that he wears, this is also very controversial because you could see people who are barely naked in certain you know, you know, territories. Um, and it is true that they live a very primitive kind of life, but they are honest, very principled, and obviously, in our modern terms, they are not very civilized because they don't wear clothes, they don't speak in a certain way, they don't go to colleges and universities. Again, it depends on perspective, from which angle of vision you are looking at things. Let's take a 10-minute break, and when we come back, we continue. I'll see you in 10 minutes, inshallah. Hello, can you hear me? Are you all
Yes,
back?
doctor.
Okay, nice, very good. Okay. So it's again the tale of Peter Rabbit. Before I go, I would like you to remind me or alert me. I have an announcement to make. Before I leave, please remind me to say something about something. Okay. So again, it's the tale of Peter Rabbit. It's a very controversial piece of work, if you ask me. It's full of ideas, and this is the mark of good work. If the meaning is surface level, we wouldn't call it a classic. And obviously, being a classic means that it is more nuanced than we may realize. We're going to, yeah, go ahead, yeah, Budur. By the way, inshallah, we will have our second in class activity on Monday, Monday at 4, and that's going to cover the tale of Peter Rabbit. Okay, so our in class activity number 2 is on Monday at 4 p.m. Is that clear?
The next Monday, doctor? Excuse me.
Inshallah, inshallah, inshallah.
But I have midterm.
والله
Inshallah.
مادة ايه؟
Uh, this course. No, yes.
Yes. EA300B؟
Yes.
ليه يا جماعة Monday هيبقى ايه؟
I
ازاي؟
think
Not
it's just
this
Monday.
Monday.
يا
Not
ديما
this Monday.
the Monday after يا تهاني
Okay, doctor.
I think
Thank you.
it's on Monday, honestly.
صح؟
Is it Thursday?
نعم؟
I thought it was Thursday, 5th of March.
We should have يعني taken it this week actually. ولكن يعني there were lots of things that we should have done, but we haven't done this week. That's why I'm doing it. And it's going to be very close to the midterm. If we do it on, would you like us to do it on Thursday? But I think Thursday would also be very far. What do you think?
Doctor, your voice were lagging. What do we have on Monday?
I was saying that we will have our second in class activities, and I was, making you vote on whether to do it on Monday or on Thursday. But keep in mind that it's going to be very close to the midterm if it's Thursday. What do you think?
No, I don't mind Monday. I was just saying to
Yeah.
some students said our midterm was on Monday. I said it was on Thursday, not Monday. That's all.
Yes,
طيب.
I checked the schedule now. It is Thursday, not Monday.
So I think Monday it's
Yes, Monday, okay.
Monday fine. Monday inshallah is fine at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. is also convenient, right? Yeah, it is. Inshallah, it is. So
Yes, doctor, it is.
Mumtaz, can you um, kind of share this on the WhatsApp group so that other people who are not here know about it? Okay, طيب. Let's watch one more video, or actually one final video before we go, and see what the whole idea is all about. See. Obviously, I didn't. And Yeah, let's do it.
The tale of Peter Rabbit, right? The naughty bunny, the little blue jacket, that scary farmer. But what if I told you it's not really a cautionary tale at all, but actually a story of rebellion? Yep, that little bunny is a total icon of childhood. But today, we're going to unpack the subversive message that's hiding just beneath that charming surface, a quiet little celebration of breaking the rules. I mean, think about it. For more than 100 years, this book has been a fixture on shelves all over the world, which, it kind of begs the question, what is it about this simple story that gives it such incredible, enduring power?
Well, the secret isn't just in the story about a mischievous bunny who eats way too many lettuces. The real magic, it's in how Beatrix Potter tells the story.
The true genius here is all about the interplay between what we read and what we see. Potter choreographs this really sophisticated dance between her words and her images, and that's exactly where we find the story's hidden depth. Critics have called it a perfect marriage of word and image. And this isn't just a story with pictures, it's a masterclass in visual storytelling, where every single little detail is carefully orchestrated to create a very specific effect. And here's Potter's most brilliant technique. She doesn't always have the words and the pictures telling the exact same story. Sometimes, sure, they're in perfect harmony, but other times she creates this deliberate clash. And it's in that friction, in that tension, that the story really comes alive. So how exactly does she pull this off? Well, Potter uses a few key visual techniques to put us directly into Peter's little shoes, making us feel his terror as if it were our own. First off, the perspective is always low to the ground, right at Peter's eye level. Second, he's almost always shown in a close-up. And third, the threat, Mr. McGregor, is consistently kept way in the distance. The effect is so powerful, we're not just watching Peter, we are literally experiencing the garden through his eyes. Okay, let's see this in action in one of the book's most famous scenes. You remember the moment Peter gets trapped under the garden sieve? Well, it's terrifying for a reason, and that reason is pure artistic genius. And this is where that clash I mentioned becomes absolutely brilliant. The words are chillingly casual. They describe Mr. McGregor's murderous plan like it's just another gardening chore. But the picture, the picture is pure terror. The looming sieve, the birds scattering, the image just screams panic while the words stay weirdly detached. It's this exact contradiction that makes the scene so unforgettable. But it's not all about creating conflict. Potter also masterfully uses harmony, where the words and the pictures work together in perfect sync to just amplify a single powerful emotion. Just take the scene at the locked door. The text is so simple. Peter began to cry. But the illustration is devastating. We see a vulnerable, jacketless Peter standing not like a bunny but like a small human, with a single tear rolling down his face. Here, the word and the image combine to create this profound moment of empathy.
Hadra.
You just feel for the little guy. So we're made to feel Peter's terror and his sadness. And all of this careful artistic construction, this manipulation of our emotions, it's all building towards a single, pretty surprising point. Peter Rabbit is not the hero you think he is. Think about the heroes of children's stories from that time. They were usually brave, rational, super resourceful. Peter is none of those things. He's small, he's driven by impulse, and he's easily frightened. Potter isn't just creating a new type of character. She's deliberately tearing up the rulebook for what a hero is even supposed to be.
So why does this matter? Well, one scholar argues that the tale encourages an assertion of their wild, unpredictable nature against the constrictions of civilized living. To put it another way, it's a quiet celebration of our untamed inner selves.
Let's be really clear about the takeaway here. This is not just a cautionary tale about listening to your mother. It's a celebration of disobedience. It's about breaking the rules, crossing social boundaries, and indulging your impulses. Peter gets a stomachache, sure, but he also survives, and he got to experience the thrill of those forbidden lettuces.
This level of narrative complexity is exactly why we need to see Peter Rabbit as more than just some charming story. It's a perfect example of a really powerful and sophisticated art form. And that art form is the picture book. Now, this is not the same as an illustrated book where pictures just kind of decorate the text. In a true picture book, the images and the words are equal partners in telling the story. And sometimes the pictures even take the lead. So the crucial point is that these aren't just simple amusements. They are sophisticated works of art that teach us from a very young age how to read images and text together. which is a foundational skill for navigating our complex media-rich world today. So, in the end, Peter Rabbit is really a champion for our wild, disobedient, emotional selves. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secret, rebellious lessons are hiding in the pages of the books you loved as a child?
Yeah. What more insights do we have now that we have? Obviously, the video this time around is taking us to other areas. What are those other areas that the video is focusing on? Hello, can you hear me? So again, it's the idea that normally the text can stay silent on ideas and issues, and it's only when you look at the pictures that you figure out what is happening, right? So it's about this real engagement with both the text and the picture, right? Again, the idea that reading the picture book as mere or as a mere cautionary tale would be doing very little justice to the picture book because obviously it's more nuanced than that. What else do you still remember from the video? Okay, so I think we'll stop on this note and with this item. I'll leave you to watch all the videos on your own. And when exactly is the midterm? The midterm is when?
5 March.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
March.
think on
Okay.
5th of March.
Which means that we still have one more master class before before the midterm, right? We will be able to meet before the midterm, right? One more time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
doctor.
Yeah, that's good. So next time when we meet, inshallah, it's going to be like a revision that covers all what we have taken and the two, whether in the novel or in the picture book, we'll talk about our expectations and if you have any questions and stuff. Yeah, better be prepared. Preparing means that you read, you come up with questions, and you try to even try your hand, write essays and short answers and stuff like that. Before I leave, I would like to kind of share with you that we're starting an initiative with those who were with us in Al Jahiziyya exam and those who are on the WhatsApp group of Al Jahiziyya exam knows about the initiative. The initiative is a number of short courses that addresses critical thinking, soft skills, and also AI literacy. If you would like to be part of that, I'll share it on the master's class group. Yani in case you have missed that, and we're going to start on Sunday, inshallah. It's normally each course is going to take only 2 days, and each is going to be 2 hours long. And it's normally at 10 p.m. طبعا it's Ramadan كل عام وانتم بخير, and obviously 10 p.m. is not too late. So it's going to be from 2 p.m. until 12 a.m. For 2 days every week. So we're going to start off with the critical thinking course, and then we move on to the soft skills course, and then we conclude and end with the AI literacy and beyond course. So it's very beneficial and useful, and yeah, try to attend. Okay, so this is all I have. If you guys have any more questions, yeah, come to the mic. Yeah,
دكتور
yeah.
دكتور بالله متى الكويز الثاني؟
In class activity is on Monday at 4 p.m.
next Monday.
نتكلم على in class activities, not the second quiz. The second quiz is something that we're going to do later after the midterm. We're talking about the stack of in class activities that we have. We have 6 of them. Okay, we have done one,
okay.
and we're doing the second one on Monday at 4 p.m. inshallah. Okay, طيب. On this note and with this item, we come to the end of today's lovely class. Thank you so much, and I'll see you inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
And thank you for you,
Thank you,
Doctor.
Doctor.
You're welcome.